Hi everyone and welcome back to Techcravers. Today we're finally getting into a handheld device that's been waiting for its moment. The Powkiddy V10. On the surface it seems like just another budget-friendly option, but there's actually a lot to unpack here. This little handheld packs a punch when it comes to emulating classic games, especially Game Boy Advance titles. And it comes with a vibrant IPS display that brings those retro graphics to life. But does the low price mean that it cuts corners elsewhere? Can it really handle the demands of retro gaming, or are there some surprising limitations that might make you think twice? We'll be digging into its performance, build quality and all the little details that could make this device either a hidden gem or a pass. Plus, there are a few unexpected features and a few quirks that you'll definitely want to know about. So get ready, because after the intro we're diving deep into everything that the Powkiddy V10 has to offer. The unboxing experience of the Powkiddy V10 isn't exactly groundbreaking. It arrives in this plain yellow box, and as you can see there's not much here that reveals what's inside. We got the Powkiddy logo and the model V10 printed on the lid, so at least we know what we're dealing with. There's a small note on the side indicating the color, but beyond that there's really not much more to say before we lift the lid. The first thing you find inside is this small quick start guide, or product instructions as Powkiddy calls it. And to be honest, I've never actually read one of these for any of my handhelds, but if you're new to this kind of device there's probably some useful info here, like how certain settings work, the hotkeys you can use and other small tips and tricks. The unit I have here was sent to me for review by my friends over at litnxt.com. It comes with a preloaded micro SD card filled with retro games for several classic systems. You can choose between 64GB or 128GB card, but oddly there's no option to buy the device without one, no matter which site you decide to buy it from. Unlike Ambernic devices, for example, where you can skip the preloaded card, which I prefer since I always recommend using a higher quality card with your own games. Now, when it comes to the price, this might be one of the most budget-friendly handhelds out there. With the code V10 at litnxt, it's just $49, but I've also seen it on AliExpress for as low as $37 with free shipping. Still, I would always suggest buying from a trusted seller like litnxt, since you'll get better customer support if anything goes wrong. Back to the unboxing. Beneath the plastic that secures the handheld in place, we also find a USB-A to USB-C charging cable included in the package. Alright, now it's time for the big reveal. And wow, I'm genuinely surprised by how good this handheld looks in person. Despite being a bit lightweight, it almost feels like it could be an official Nintendo product. The grey beige color gives it that perfect retro vibe, reminiscent of classic consoles, and the SNES style button colors add to a touch of sleek nostalgia that I've always loved to see. What really catches my eye though is how well designed it is. Everything feels thoughtfully placed and the buttons have a satisfying look and feel. Plus, there's a really neat feature on the back, an easily accessible battery compartment. It's a small detail, but having the option to swap out the battery whenever needed is such a great touch, especially for a device in this price range. Overall, Powkiddy has nailed the aesthetics and I'm pretty impressed. Now let's see if the performance lives up to the good looks. Ah, so that's why they only sell them with micro SD cards. Once your SD card is sorted out and inserted into the device, you can finally boot it up. For this video, I'm using the card that came with the Powkiddy V10, since that's probably the experience most of you want to see. The card comes preloaded with ArkOS, a popular open source operating system designed for handheld gaming. And what's even better is that it's pre-configured with the EmulationStation frontend, a favorite among retro gamers for its intuitive and visually appealing interface. EmulationStation makes navigating through the games very easy and enjoyable, with sleek menus, game art and a layout that just feels right. Because everything is pre-configured, you can dive straight into gaming without hassle, making it ideal for both beginners and younger users. Just turn it on, pick a game and you're ready to go. No complicated setup required. But now let's take a look at the hardware, and let's start with the D-pad, which is often a make or break feature for a handheld like this. I'm happy to report that it feels surprisingly good, responsive and precise, with the just right amount of resistance. The directional input are accurate, which is crucial for retro games that rely heavily on D-pad control. It doesn't feel mushy or overly stiff, striking a nice balance that should please most gamers. Moving on to the action buttons, I have to say that they look fantastic with that SNES-inspired color scheme. But they're not just about the looks, these rubber membrane buttons are also big, comfortable, and offer a satisfying amount of tactile feedback. They feel soft yet responsive, providing that classic cushioned feel we all love in retro gaming. Overall, they add both aesthetics, charm, and a pleasant user-friendly experience. Now let's move on to the back and talk about the shoulder buttons. They're designed in a parallel layout, which allows your fingers to rest naturally on them. A nice touch for longer gaming sessions. However, they aren't without their flaws. The main issue here is that they're quite sensitive, making it easy to accidentally press them by just resting your fingers. This can become a real problem in certain games that heavily rely on the R1 and L1 buttons, leading to unintended inputs or even game interruptions. While the placement feels comfortable, the sensitivity might be something to watch out for. At the top we have an on, off and sleep button, a reset button and two USB-C ports, one for charging and the other for OTG connectivity. It's a simple yet functional layout that keeps everything easily accessible. Flipping to the bottom, there's not much going on apart from the micro SD card slot and a headphone jack for your audio needs. As for the sides, they're completely clean with no buttons or ports, giving the device a minimalist and uncluttered look. But now you might be wondering where the volume buttons are. Well, there aren't any physical buttons for that. Instead, both volume and screen brightness are adjusted by pressing the plus button and then using the D-pad, left and right for volume and up and down for brightness. It's an extremely clunky solution, and to make matters worse, these inputs will still register in your games even while holding down the plus button. Honestly, it's a poorly designed feature that should have been reconsidered from the very start. The plus and minus buttons are also used for other hotkey features like fast forwarding, pausing, save and load states and more. And for those functions, the hotkey feels super convenient and easy to use. They let you quickly access essential features without interrupting gameplay. However, these buttons really shouldn't be used for hardware-related functions like adjusting volume or brightness. It's a good system for in-game controls, but not so much for managing the device itself. But overall, the button layout and design of the handheld are quite good, aside from the lack of dedicated volume buttons. The screen itself looks nice as well, even though it appears a bit dim in this footage, but trust me, it's actually brighter in real life. Though it still could use a bit more brightness. On the plus side, it nearly goes completely black at the lowest brightness setting, which makes it perfect for playing in a dark room, especially if you're next to someone trying to sleep. With the Powkiddy V10, you can dive into a wide array of classic games across various retro systems. Titles from Game Boy Advanced, NES, SNES, Sega Genesis and Neo Geo all perform smoothly, and the GBA games in particular look fantastic on this device's screen, thanks to its ideal resolution and color vibrancy. When it comes to PlayStation 1 games, the V10 handles them reasonably well, offering a decent experience for most titles. However, if you venture into more demanding systems like PSP or Dreamcast, you might notice some performance issues, such as lower frame rates and occasional slowdowns. It's a solid option for anyone looking to play retro games up to the 16-bit era and even some early 32-bit games. While it might not be perfect for everything, the V10 is a great budget-friendly way to explore and enjoy your favorite retro classics. Keep in mind the Powkiddy V10 doesn't have a touchscreen, which makes it pretty much useless for most Nintendo DS games as they heavily rely on touch controls. So if DS emulation is priority for you, this might not be the right device. So to wrap things up, let's go over the pros and cons of the Powkiddy V10. On the plus side, it's incredibly affordable, making it one of the most budget-friendly handhelds available right now. The build quality is surprisingly solid for the price, with a nice retro-inspired design, a good D-pad and comfortable action buttons. It excels at emulating 8-bit and 16-bit games, and Game Boy Advance titles looks particularly great on this bright and vibrant screen. However, there are some downsides. The lack of physical volume buttons and clunky brightness adjustment systems, it can be annoying, and the lack of a touchscreen makes it unsuitable for Nintendo DS games. Also, while it can handle PS1 games reasonably well, don't expect smooth performance on the more demanding systems like PSP or Dreamcast. Overall, the Powkiddy V10 is ideal for retro gamers looking for an affordable device to enjoy classic games from Game Boy, NES, SNES and similar systems. If you're on a tight budget and mostly interested in 8-bit and 16-bit gaming, this could be a great choice. But if you're looking for a more versatile emulation device, you might want to explore other options. Thanks for watching my review of the Powkiddy V10. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and feel free to drop a comment down below with your thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe to Techcravers for more content like this in the future. I'll catch you in the next one. Techcravers out.